What is up, fantasy fans? As always, I'm Shay from the channel Zachary Shay, and today I'm going to be giving you a brief spoiler-free and spoiler-filled review of, which copy do I even hold up? Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wong. It doesn't matter how big or strong or pretty you are in magic. It doesn't matter how much people like you. With my fingers on the keys of a spellograph, if I can just think hard enough, I'm the most powerful person in the world. That's a feeling a woman just isn't going to get anywhere else. Because good people can turn desperate when the horrors are upon them, especially people whose culture of plenty has left them with no systems to cope with scarcity or cataclysm. Good people will turn monstrous when it's down to their survival or someone else's. I will not turn my gaze, Siona snarled the end of the prayer for him, though light burn me. For light will show the truth of the world, and all truth in the world is of Farron the Father. Behold, she held her arms wide before the Archmages, God's work. I'll hold this one up because it's my favorite. What did I think of Blood Over Brighthaven? As I've said before, Sword of Kaigen is one of my favorite series. I have a tattoo of Masaki Matsuda. She's one of my favorite fictional characters. She's probably my favorite female protagonist in fantasy ever. But what did I think of Blood Over Brighthaven? Was it able to hit the same highs as Sword of Kaigen? And overall, I would say Sword of Kaigen is still my favorite work by M.L. Wong. It's still the one to have impacted me the most. I think that this is a tighter read, though. I think Sword of Kaigen has higher highs, but it also has lower lows. This is a more tight, concise, and well-written story. I think Sword of Kaigen is extremely well-written in the prose department, but a little bit in the structure and in the pacing. I think Blood Over Brighthaven overall is a more concrete and refined book than something like Sword of Kaigen. And I would give it an easy 5 out of 5 stars. I thought our two main characters were very well realized. I thought the world-building elements made a ton of sense. I really liked the world building she did. I liked the magic she did. I thought she implemented a hard magic system very well. But it really doesn't focus too much on the magic system, to be honest with you. And I really loved most aspects of the story. So yeah, like I said, it's a 5-star read for me. And I do look forward to whatever else M.L. Wong writes. And in this story, we get Siona. She is the first, we're going to say spoilers vague until I get to the spoiler section. But we get the perspective of Siona, who is the first female applicant for the position of Archmage in however many years. And there's never been a female Archmage. And she is so committed to being the first female Archmage. And then we also get the point of view of Tommel, who is a Quen. He's much more secondary than Siona. Siona is very much the main character of this book. And Quen are kind of looked down on. Like, as much as this is a patriarchal society and men have more power than women, a Quen man is going to have it way harder than a woman of the ruling class. That's just how it is. Like, yes, there are a lot of sexist things said about women and done towards women in this book. But the way the Quen are treated is just vile. So imagine what it's like to be a Quen woman, even worse. But you get these two characters. I thought that their relationship with each other and their relationship with the world around them was really, really excellent. I liked them both for very intentional reasons. I do like Tommel more than Siona, but I think Siona is probably the more nuanced character. I don't know. They're pretty close. In fact, I even questioned, sometimes Tommel feels like the main character, but we definitely get Siona's point of view more often. And then there's another major character, which is Kara, who is Tommel's niece. I actually hope that one day M.L. Wong will write a book about Kara. That would be really cool. So I guess I spoiled that Kara lives. But anyway, I may cut that out. Who knows? Or I may not. And speaking of that, I'm going to get into spoilers. With no further ado, spoilers, full-blown spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Okay. I thought the opening with Tommel was so freaking good. It kind of geared me up to, like, I thought when we first picked up with Siona, for some reason, and I was listening to this on audio, brilliantly narrated by Moira Quirk, by the way. That's crazy. Bought 3 editions just to listen to it on audio. But in the process of me listening to it, I thought that like Siona was Kara, that we were seeing a descendant of the Quen, but I didn't realize that they were like that racially different, like that they would look that different. I just thought like she was from the outside. Within the first chapter point of view of Siona, I realized that that wasn't the case. But then, you know, we get Siona. She proves her brilliance with the magic typewriter thing. I really love how the magic system is modeled after coding. Now, would that have been a magic system I would have been intrigued to read like a 5-book series about? Probably not. But what she did with the magic was brilliant. And, you know, some people are like, oh, I like a hard magic system, I like a soft magic system. And I was actually in conversation with Marie and Mulaney on my friend Four Corners of the Pages channel. Magic system is an aesthetic value of the book. That is just used to work in service of the plot, the characters, and the world. All right, magic system, I get having a soft or hard preference, but I think the whole magic system discussion in general is a little overtrodden. And that being said, I thought this was not a Sanderson level hard magic system, but it was a little bit on the harder side, and I thought it worked really well for the narrative. And then we get that reveal that the magic being drawn using the typecasters or whatever is blight that has been destroying the Quen's land and killing the different Quen. And that basically took Tommel's whole family from him, was people siphoning magic from their life force. Like it's people's life that is taken. That's what the blight is. And man, Siona really tested my patience. The way she would speak to Tommel, I get that she's from this society and that this is a inherent flaw of hers that she has to overcome throughout the story. But man, it made it hard for me to root for her a little bit. And even when we get the romantic payoff between Tommel and Siona, I'm still like, I don't know, you're pretty racist, Siona. But I did like their romance a lot. I'm giving her a hard time, but the truth is Siona was brainwashed to believe this. It's just kind of hypocritical considering that she is a woman who has also been diminished in this society and not given the value that she deserves. So it's kind of like even crazier and more ironic that she's like racist against the Quen. But at least she's less racist than her cohort. She has that thought of like, oh, Tommel, you're like smarter than the Quen. Like you're a good Quen. Like you're smart. You're intelligent. You're kind. And he's like, that's how all Quen are. That's how we are. We're human beings. Like, I am not a smart Quen. Quen are just equally as smart as your people. Anyway, but I can't be mad at her because she made that sacrifice for Tommel and for Kara. And I did not expect this book to go that dark. And, after the events of Sword of Kaigen, I should expect it from ML Wong. She did some heartbreaking stuff in Sword of Kaigen. I just really didn't think Siona was going to go out like that. I really hope she writes more in this world, but I said the same thing about Sword of Kaigen, and she discontinued her Theonite series. I think if anything, ML Wong has proven that she doesn't need to write a longer series to create a compelling narrative. She can do it in one book, and that's actually a talent that it is a talent that a lot of fantasy authors have. It just doesn't get a lot of limelight. Not a lot of people are reading standalones in the fantasy genre. ML Wong is one of the front runners of this. Also, R.F. Kuang has been doing this. V. Schwab has been doing this, but I haven't read their standalones. I've read 2 standalones by ML Wong, and they are both exceptional. Sword of Kaigen is one of my favorite books I've ever read, whereas Blood Over Brighthaven is one of my favorite books of the year. The audiobook is great, and I hope if you're here, you've probably either read it already or you don't care about spoilers. But let me know down in the comments what you thought of Sword of Kaigen. I thought it was excellent. And peace.